Hey everyone, how's it going? Today, let's take a detailed, exclusive look at this mint-condition 1991 Dodge Stealth RT Twin Turbo. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the Stealth. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip and go over the performance data, as we'll show you a bunch of the unique aspects of the interior as well as exterior. And before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to extend a big thanks and special shout out to RK Motors Charlotte, located in Charlotte, North Carolina, for providing the Stealth RT Turbo featured in today's in-depth review. For more information on any of their other super sweet inventory, check out rkmotorscharlotte.com. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. The original exterior color is known as Firestorm Red, featuring the premium charcoal gray perforated leather interior. Beautiful sound from that twin turbocharged 3-liter V6. Standard on the turbo models was the market's first dual-mode active exhaust system, whereby a simple press of a button can switch it from quiet tour or more pronounced sport mode. Otherwise, in tour mode, the adjustable inlet within the muffler opens automatically when the vehicle revs past 3,000 RPM. So first, in standard mode, and you can automatically hear while it's in touring mode, when it hits that certain RPM, the flaps automatically open and release that pronounced sound. And now sport mode, where the exhaust flap remains open. But more on that a little later in the video. The Stealth RT Turbo steering is a power-assisted rack and pinion design fed through a leather-clad 4-spoke steering wheel. Further control being provided by the Turbo's full-time all-wheel drive and innovative 4-wheel steering system, which we'll cover a little bit more in depth later in the video. A driver's side airbag was standard with the Stealth's launch, but after 1993, a passenger airbag was added as well. Towards the bottom of the wheel, you also have an array of radio controls making adjustments within easy reach. The only transmission available for the Turbo was a Getrag-built 5-speed manual, which was a more robust gearbox than any of Mitsubishi's offerings at the time, a better paired option with the increased engine output. All routed through a leather-wrapped gear selector, 94 through 96 models were fitted with a 6-speed. With tall gears, the car is able to pull you through long acceleration runs before you select the next gear. For the rest of the Stealth lineup, you could also opt for a 4-speed automatic with power and economy modes. And so, We're going to flip on the headlamps, fog lamps, as well as the hazards. The driver's side window is automatic down. And we're going to check the exterior. In the early 90s, back when Chrysler Corporation and Mitsubishi were jointly developing automobiles, they created two of the most memorable sports cars of the era, known as the Dodge Stealth, produced from 1991 through 1996, and the Mitsubishi 3000 GT, produced from 1991 through 1999. Built in Nagoya, Japan by Mitsubishi Motors Corporation, they were identical mechanical twins, with only minor differences between them. The data provided in this video will encompass both cars, and I'll also be pointing out the key differences between them along the way. There have been many cars to come out of this joint relationship over the years, but these two are renowned as some of the best performance machines you could buy in its day. Today, they might as well be the next wave of automotive collectibles if you're actually able to find one in mint shape. The 1990s overall represented an exciting time filled with performance and engineering, spurred by the rapid influx of all-new sports cars and grand tours from Japan, such as the Acura NSX, Nissan 300ZX, Mazda RX-7, and the Toyota Supra. The market was turned upside down basically with this new focus on controlled performance versus all-out horsepower and straight-line acceleration. The Stealth was available in 4 trim levels: Base, ES, RT, and RT Twin Turbo, with front-wheel drive being the standard drivetrain and all-wheel drive being the only option for the turbo. Base cars came with a sluggish, single overhead cam, 12-valve, 164 horsepower 3-liter V6, while the ES and RT models received the upgraded 24-valve, 222 horsepower, double overhead cam 3-liter V6, also shared with the entry model 3000 GT. Of course, the real power and capabilities came from the RT Turbo and 3000 GT VR4 variants. Power for both the RT Turbo and VR4, which stands for Viscous Real-Time 4-Wheel Drive, is sent to all 4 wheels through a standard permanent all-wheel drive system with planetary gear, center differential, and viscous coupling unit. It distributes the power between the open differential up front and viscous limited slip rear differential for a standard torque split of 45-55% between the front and rear. The rear differential can then proportion the torque to either of the rear wheels, applying more torque to the wheel with the most traction. But probably the most innovative engineering aspect of the partnership is that it's the first Mitsubishi-designed product to offer an innovative 4-wheel steering system. Nissan also used a variant with their popular 300ZX twin turbo and the GTR, which wasn't sold in America. It's a speed-dependent hydraulic-based system that's designed to increase the vehicle's capabilities in the corner, thus improving overall handling and responsiveness. Above 30 miles an hour, the rear wheels will turn in phase with the front wheels to a max degree of 1.5 degrees. Of course, the degree of turn-in depends on how fast you're going, the angle of the steering wheel, effort being applied, and rate of turn. G-force sensors would then control the action of the shock absorbers when equipped with the all-wheel drive system. The biggest difference between Mitsubishi's offerings versus the one by Nissan is that the rear wheels will never turn counter-phase to the front, which would typically make maneuvering in tight areas much easier. Therefore, the only real benefit it provided was while turning at speed. The car rides on the same basic chassis and wheelbase that underpins other Mitsubishi products of the era, including the Eclipse and Eagle Talon, but its strong appearance is further facilitated by a substantial increase in both length and width. Some suspension components are shared as well, but were beefed up substantially for the higher output applications. One key aspect was utilization of a 3-way electronically controlled shock absorber setup routed through the ECS button to the right of the speedometer. Sport mode automatically defaults the dampers to the firmest setting, while Tour modulates between the 2 softer modes based on driving sensors located around the vehicle. While it's easy to refer to these cars as sports cars, in my opinion they're more like Grand Tourers, offering a 2+2 configuration for added practicality. They are heavy cars too. A loaded up RT Turbo or VR4 weigh nearly 2 tons with the all-wheel drive and 4-wheel steering system. They also have a front-end weight bias which is said to limit the nimbleness, although the extra dose of power should be more than enough to help compensate. When you compare the cars side by side, you can clearly tell they're siblings as they share many of the same design elements. Mitsubishi designed the powertrain and interior, but each manufacturer was left to put their own signature design touches. The cars only differentiate themselves with subtle styling cues and equipment options. In my opinion, the Stealth is the cleaner design of the pair. It looks more like a Grand Tourer than the racier VR4. The design is long, low, and wide, with both cars sharing a slippery drag coefficient of just 0.33. Up front, the Stealth integrates pop-up headlamps with its side markers and a blacked-out housing. It lacks the corner bumper vents of the VR4, but wears Dodge's traditional crosshair grille in the lower clip. The hood of both cars also feature what's called blister covers. Because the hood is so low, they were needed to cover the top of the shock towers. Other than that, changes were essentially limited to the rear of both cars, with each car having a unique taillight design and different spoiler placements. The boomerang wing on the Stealth is mounted to the lower portion of the rear glass, looking original and nifty, while the VR4 is placed on the edge of the deck lid. One advantage the VR4 carries is its standard active aero components. Above 50 miles an hour, a chin spoiler automatically deploys up front, while the rear wing increases its upward angle for greater vehicle downforce at speed. The Stealth RT is fitted with a unique set of 5-spoke turbine-style 17 by 8.5 inch aluminum alloy wheels with Pentastar-shaped black center caps, all wrapped in 245/45 all-season tires. All versions of the Stealth utilized internally ventilated disc brakes, but with the RT Turbo you received a larger set of brakes to cope with the increased power, consisting of 16-inch front discs with 4-piston calipers and 15-inch discs in the rear with single-piston calipers. ABS was standard for the RT Turbo, while optional feature on lower price models. With this setup, the vehicle is said to be able to stop from 60 miles an hour at a rather short 112 feet. As far as the suspension, both the Stealth and 3000 GT feature identical setups, consisting of independent McPherson struts in front with lower control arms and coil springs. The rear is also independent but features upper and lower control arms in addition to trailing arms and coil links. Turbo variants also have larger diameter stability bars both front and rear. Of course, not to mention the electronically controlled dampers and the 4-wheel active steering system. Overall length is 180.5 inches with a width of 72.4 inches and a height of 49.1 inches, with a total curve weight as you see here around 3,801 pounds on a 97.2 inch wheelbase. So we're gonna pop the hood. If you wanted serious performance, the RT Twin Turbo was the way to go, thanks to a modified, dual overhead cam 24-valve 60-degree 3-liter V6 fed by twin TD04 stainless steel turbochargers and concomitant twin intercoolers mounted on either side of the lower front clip. The engine's design consists of a thin-wall iron block casting with aluminum heads, 3.59 by 2.99 inch bore, and 91.1 by 76 mm stroke. Port fuel injection, compression ratio of 8:1, and a red line of 7,000 RPM. It also features pent roof chambers with central spark plugs, roller rocker arms in the valve train, in addition to automatic valve lash adjusters and timing belt tensioner. A distributorless system with dual coils, and mounted transversely due to the front-wheel drive requirements of the lower-priced models. Total horsepower output with 10 psi of boost was 300 at 5,500 RPM, with an equally impressive torque rating of 307 at 2,500 RPM. 1994 and later models saw an increase of 12 psi of boost, yielding 320 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque. This minor upgrade was also available in earlier cars of the owner's desire, translating to 0 to 60 times around 5.4 seconds, quarter-mile times of 13.9 seconds, and a top speed of 160 miles an hour. As far as fuel economy, with a 19.8-gallon tank, the EPA estimates range between 18 miles to a gallon in the city and 24 on the highway while running on premium unleaded fuel. When they were new, these loaded-up turbo models, while still relatively affordable, weren't necessarily cheap. Thankfully, their build quality and features available really did represent a higher level of refinement for the class. It's stylish, still looks relatively fresh, and aside from the Supra's interior, it's my favorite design of the group. After all, it looks the performance part. A driver-focused cockpit with gauge pods, bolstered seats, sculpted panels, and more. Across the door panels, down below you do have a carpeted portion, whereas the appropriate touch points are wrapped in soft material. Your power windows, power locks, and window lockouts are located on the door, while the panel's overall design swoops up to meet the edges of the dash. The upgraded sports seating in the turbo variants are a multi-contour design with power-adjustable bolsters to increase lateral grip or adjust for a wide variety of body types. They're fully manual as far as the other adjustments are concerned, including height adjustment as well as sliding, recline, and more. There's also a manual memory function located on the backhand cushion. Cloth upholstery came standard, but you could opt for this full leather upholstery as well, with perforations coming up across the middle to help keep the seats nice and ventilated on a hot day. Overall, I thought they were supremely comfortable, with the adjustable side bolsters extremely supportive. I always love finding cars in this good of shape because it really gives people a great idea of what the car was like when it was new. The floor mats are stitched with the vehicle's name. You do have a dead pedal down there, as well as a lower air vent to help cool your legs. Manually adjusting steering wheel, and your power mirrors are located to the left-hand side of the steering column. The dash also features a subtle amount of soft touch trim coming across the length of the vehicle, and also, if you'd like for a little bit more open air experience, a pop-up sunroof was also available. So let's go ahead and see how she sounds. First, in touring mode. And now, sport mode. So we'll go ahead and shut her up. This Stealth features a premium 6-speaker 100-watt audio system with in-dash tape deck, as well as CD player, graphic equalizer, and overall relatively simple controls. Your rake back A-pillars, cloth lined visors, with vanity mirrors. They're held together by magnets. Not to mention a manually dimming rearview mirror. And in the top stack, your interior illumination, as well as reading lamps. Now, something that I really like about this Stealth is the fact that the original owner kept all of the original radio equipment intact. So you can definitely see what things looked like back in 1991 and see how the technology has progressed over 20 plus years. Your main radio section is located up top, and that controls all of your audio adjustments, equalizer settings, etc. And then you have your optional single disc in-dash CD player located down below, which is basically the same size as the actual radio unit itself. But the controls are pretty simply laid out. You have a digital display in the middle, which you can change the view modes on, There's a little light, power, loud, which makes the audio sound a little bit more potent, gives it a little bit more definition. Preset stations, your volume, seek, tune, other tape settings, as well as your graphic equalizer located down below. As far as the CD player, changing the tracks, rewinding and fast forward, memory settings, scanning, stop and play are for the rewind settings, as well as CD eject. You don't have to push a load button or anything like that, just stick the disc in and it'll automatically grab it and start playing. Right above your radio, a nice feature for 1991 was the standard electronic automatic climate control system with a very unique digital display giving all of your vital information. Your temperature adjustment, it beeps, letting you know it made confirmation of your selection, fan speed, AC and economy, changing the different zones, as well as front defrost, and rear defrost is located up next to the speedometer cluster. Now another cool thing shared with the 3000 GT is the instrumentation pod cluster located at the top of the dash. You have your vehicle temperature off to the left, oil pressure in the middle, as well as turbo boost in the far right. As we continue down the center console, you have a 12-volt power outlet, as well as your cruise control activation, power adjustments for your bolstering, as well as your lumbar, lighter, an extra power outlet, as well as an ashtray, not to mention a padded center console with 2 cup holders that can be removed for more storage space. Now right below the rear defroster is your electronic stability control with both sport and touring modes. It shows up to the left-hand side of the tachometer and adapts the suspension based on if you want a more performance-driving aspect or just cruising. To the left-hand side of the speedometer cluster are your headlamp controls. Like you saw earlier, when you activate your headlamps, the covers in front automatically open. But if you just want the covers open without turning on the lights, you hit that button right there. As far as the steering wheel, the large 4-spoke design does come with an airbag in the middle. Your cruise control adjustments are located down below, and like I said, your activation is down below there. And in the bottom are your radio controls, nice and simply laid out. Power mirrors are located to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, high beams, turn signals, as well as lighting controls, and your intermittent wipers off to the right. The speedometer cluster is also nice and simply laid out with your fuel up top, tachometer to the left, and speedometer off to the right with your trip computer and various warning lamps located throughout. Your rear intermittent wiper is located right next to the Tour and Sport mode. Beautifully designed vehicle. Go ahead and shut her down. And we'll check out the back seat. To gain access to the back seat, all you have to do is just release the back and then pull up the sliding portion to pull it all the way forward. But overall, the back seat is quite small, dished out in the bottom. It's kind of mimic bucket seats, but you'd almost think they were for insurance purposes than actual human practicality. Just like the front though, the leather is perforated, and it can fold down for more cargo space in the rear, which I'll show in just a second. So let's go ahead and check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we? Open up the Stealth's convenient hatch and you'll find 11.2 cubic feet of cargo space with the rear seats folded up. There's also a little bit of illumination, as well as a cargo privacy cover that you can strap in up top. Once you fold the seats down, you're able to store cargo all the way up to the front seats, greatly increasing the capacity and the extra benefit of a hatchback. You can also remove that privacy cover if you'd like. Note how the top of the back of the seats also sweep up. That's so you'll have cargo flying up towards the front under harder braking. You also have similar adjustments to the passenger side, just the manual portion though, no power adjustment. and you do have a lockable glove box with a good amount of space. The Stealth Turbo and 3000 GT VR4 gave you a lot of performance and engineering for your dollar when they were first introduced. While lower-priced variants had that cool factor still with a similarly styled body, the Turbo launched it to the upper echelon of the iconic JDM cars. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 1991 Dodge Stealth RT Twin Turbo. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.